Hi everyone, this is Happy Timing, and today I'll be doing a Beauty and the Beast draw from memory video. And so the reason I'm doing this video is that I have another concept for Beauty and the Beast I want to do later, and I'll post that as another video. But this first video, which I'm going to show, is probably like a good introduction to it. So when I was drawing it at first, I'm like, okay, I'll start with Belle, and then try to draw her. The only things I remember about Belle is probably like, oh, she has like a yellow dress and then maybe some heels and then brown hair. um, at first when I was drawing her dress, I was like, okay, she has that leaf thing, I think, at the chest area, which goes on both sides. And then I was like, does she have puff sleeves or not? And then after I drew them on, I'm like, okay, they look like Snow White now. Yeah. But then I kind of gave up. I'm like, okay, let me just move on to drawing the beast. So when I started drawing the beast, I was kind of like, okay, he has like a very hairy beard, and he has some horns, and then he has like a nice jacket. I'm not sure if the jacket has the kind of the snake kind of tongue at the end, but I drew it anyways. And then I kind of drew his legs afterwards and shoes. As you saw from me trying to draw shoes of both him and hers, you saw like I was always erasing the shoes. I don't know, I have a problem with drawing shoes. Just like I have a problem drawing hands, which a lot of people have. Yeah, so after I kind of drew both of them, which took me in real life like 8 minutes, I kind of wasn't happy with it. So what I did is I turned them translucent, or transparent-ish, and I'm like, okay, I'll do like a second drawing on top of it and just use the first one as a guideline. So in this one, I got rid of the puff sleeves because I don't think she has puff sleeves. So yeah, and then so I started with the dress, which is simpler. But looking it back now, I think for Belle, I should have moved the waist a little lower because I think the top half is too short in comparison to the bottom half, lengthwise. And there's me struggling to draw shoes again. um, this time I kind of fixed some of the pose, so that I guess the legs look a little better. But the one thing I did not correct was I think, okay, so this picture's supposed to give them kind of dancing, probably maybe to a dance like the waltz. But a problem with how I drew this is you will see that when I'm trying to draw the arms, I kind of put for both of them, like Belle and the Beast, I put both of them have the arms and hands like on the shoulders of the other person for both sides. But when you do like a dance like the waltz, usually you have like the lead have their left hand clasped in the right hand of the partner, and then the other arm is on like the waist of the partner, and then the partner has their hand on the other person's shoulder. So the posture for them to do dancing doesn't really look like how someone would normally dance. Yeah, and so when I was trying to draw Belle's face, I was like, oh my gosh, like the face shape I just couldn't get right. I was always erasing and redrawing again. And then when I go in to draw like the face features, I was like always struggling to get to look like Belle because I always you'll see later I'll be drawing the eyes like 10 times and it'll still not look like Belle. And I don't know why. Maybe I just don't remember it well enough. That was very hard to get Belle's face, and I think in the end it still didn't look. Her face wasn't really hers. But I think I just moved on. I was like, okay, I'll correct it later, and then yeah, yeah. So I think for her eyes, I was like, I remember them being kind of almond shape and then kind of pointy on the top, like a little bit curved. So I was trying to go for that, but then sometimes when I did it, it made her look kind of evil. And then sometimes when I did it, it just didn't look right. And in the end, I don't think it looked right. So I think I just moved on after that and started doing the beast. So for the beast, I tried to give some like very sharp corners. And also for his fur, I tried to make it a little majestic with the hair flowing very nice. Like everyone wants that free flowing curly hair. And then I adjusted the arms slightly, and then I gave him paws for his hands. I don't know in the movie if he has like three fingers or five fingers, but I just gave him three fingers. I'm assuming he has claws, but I didn't draw them on. So I didn't want him to like come out and be clinging onto her dress. So I was like, okay, I'll just draw the paws, no nails. Uh, and then when I tried to draw the legs, I was kind of like, I think I made his calf too big originally, so it kind of just looked like it stuck out, kind of like a goat. And I was like, okay, I'll correct it and everything. So I've been talking about me drawing, but I think now maybe I should talk a little bit about the movie. I'm assuming a lot of you have seen Beauty and the Beast, since it came out a really long time ago, the animation form, and then they had that new movie last year, which is like the live action one with Emma Watson. I went to watch that movie with my friend actually, because I don't know, we wanted to do something one summer, last summer at least, and then I have to say, like, it wasn't like amazing. Like, I don't think anyone was expecting that movie to be amazing because we all know the plot, and it's pretty much gonna go how it goes, storyline elsewise. And I don't know. It seems like okay, like in my opinion, the Beast was very glammed up. Like I know it's a Disney movie, but like I wanted him to look a little more frightening, but he looked too handsome in the live action, I think. So I don't know. I feel like they should have made him maybe look not uglier, but a little more beast like in a sense, unless like animal slash humanoid ish, which is what they actually went for the direction. Yeah, so I think that movie also had a lot of singing, and I think okay, the singing wasn't bad in my opinion. I think there are critics who like. I think there are people who didn't like the singing as much, but I thought the singing was okay. But I guess like like not all actors and actresses are singers, but then a lot of time they have to learn how to sing at least, like because in a lot of movies and stuff or other roles they want, then people are like, oh, you have to sing in this role, and then so then they have to learn, I guess. So also one thing about Beauty and the Beast, the part I don't get at least is when in the story when beginning the Beast is like human and he's a prince, and essentially he gets a knock on the door from like the witch, and then the witch asks for shelter, but then he like denies the witch, and then because I think she was old and crinkly, and then so he was kind of ego like judgmental and about superficial appearance. So basically, she cursed him to turn into a beast, and then she also cursed the staff. So like the staff turned into furniture and kitchenware that moved and talked. So the part I don't get is why she also cursed the staff, because I don't think the staff didn't do anything to her. And then like if he didn't find that true love before the rose that she gave him wilted away, then the staff would also be forever furniture and kitchenware. And so I don't know why she made the staff pay for it, because like the staff were just there to work. Um, like they seem like very like okay, some of them seem like nice people. Um, and I don't think that they probably deserved to be turned into that for like I don't know how many years in the story. Probably like 10 years that they were like for furniture and kitchenware. And there are like different people who are talking about Beauty and the Beast before, and they're kind of like making like little uh kind of like commentary about how certain things would be slightly different when they turn back. So example, I think Chip is one of the cups, and he actually has a chip in his head. Uh, so I think I remember I saw a very no, it wasn't too graphic, but I saw an image of someone drawing Chip as a human, and then they put kind of like a crack in his head. So I was like, oh no. Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, Chip, no. And yeah, so I saw that I can't unsee that image of Chip in human form with like a crack in his head. and it's just you see his brain, and then it wasn't very graphic, but it kind of was. No, it wasn't really. But I just can't unsee that image. And then there are other things that people are like, oh, when Gaston shot the beast in near the end, and he became human again after Belle kissed him. Should the bullet wound still be there, and then would he die? I think some did parody and like made it so the beast died. Yeah, so I'm almost done the drawing, and I did in some coloring. I did some very quick coloring because when I was drawing the whole thing, from the beginning to the end, it was like reaching an hour around, and I didn't plan to spend that much time on this, an hour. So at the end, I kind of rushed the paint job. As you can see, my coloring is all over the place. But I tried to get in some good values to at least make the drawing kind of presentable. Because while I was drawing this, I'm like, okay, they don't really look like Belle and the Beast. Um, so I was kind of like, okay, at least try to get the right colors so that like it kind of resembles them in a sense. So actually, one thing is, I don't have for my like drawing tablet, my pen doesn't have pen pressure. So essentially, if you saw what I did, is I had actually reduced the opacity to like 3% or 2%, and just piled on layers in order to do shading. So that's just a side tip. If you don't have a pen pressure tablet, one way you can still do shading is to turn down the opacity to a very low amount and just keep applying strokes to thicken the layers and to make the uh, shades darker. So I think at this stage, I was pretty much almost done the drawing. Like when I actually go to see the actual picture, I don't think it's gonna look very similar. Um, Belle doesn't look like Belle, and the Beast doesn't look like the Beast. The Beast looks more like a comic form, I guess, in a sense. But I think out of the two, I think I drew the Beast better, in my opinion, because I think Belle had a lot of proportion problems when I was drawing her. Yeah, and so that has been my complete drawing for Beauty and the Beast from memory. I really need to see what it looks like because it does not look like what I think it should. Comparing it to the actual image, I think I actually got Belle better, and then the Beast not as good because for the Beast I gave him kind of this yellow hair, but that's not anywhere on him. The yellow actually comes from his jacket, which I missed. And for the Beast, I kind of didn't give him a shirt. If you look at my drawing, I kind of just have him bare chested, kind of, with his hair sticking out. Okay, he's a beast. Okay, so like, he technically doesn't even need clothes in a sense. But no, I wasn't gonna draw him clothless though. But I did expose his chest and upper half, kind of. Yeah, I did draw. They are doing the waltz, I think, because as I explained earlier, his left hand takes her right hand, and then their arms are kind of, I think, his arm is on her waist, and then her arm should be near his shoulder somewhere. Yeah. Okay. So just for fun, I'm gonna show you an image of my drawing without any of the outlines. So just the color I put in. So I'm gonna remove all the outlines right now. So what's actually interesting when I remove all the outlines is that my coloring actually kind of looks like watercolor a little, which is kind of nice. But then since I took all the outlines, the eyes are kind of just like white dots that kind of stare into your soul. I don't know, but I don't know. It looks kind of like about the contour in a sense. I don't know. People sometimes do like no line challenges, which is pretty nice. It's actually a very cool challenge to try to just start with pasting like bunch of color like use a large brush in order to create kind of like a mold, or start it like kind of like clay, where you just add on really large shaping and then do some like erasing and fine detail. So that's an interesting way to draw something instead of just doing in a complete outline first and then filling it in. Yeah, so that has been my Beauty and the Beast draw from memory. I hope you enjoyed. Maybe you guys can try the challenge too, and maybe send me a link. See if you can do a better job than me. I think you probably all of you could probably do a better job, or most of you at least. Because my accuracy, I'm gonna say my accuracy was like, I'm gonna give myself some boost and say 60% similar, but it's probably like more of 30% similar. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for my next video on Beauty and the Beast, which will be a more creative take on Beauty and the Beast. And this is Happy Time Ing signing out.